embarrassing.
Oh,
It's not moonshine.
hello everyone, and welcome to Paula's Soapbox Live. My guest tonight is the executive producer and star of the new web series Social Medium. She plays Beatrix R. Beckett on the show. So take a look at this clip from the first episode of season 1.
Hi, this is Beatrix Ruby Beckett, and this is my first video blog. I'm actually new to the whole vlogging thing. Blogging. No, it's vlogging. I never even kept a diary as a kid. Is that weird? I'm just not really sure what to do just yet. So I thought I would just start, and I would figure it out or something.
Hey,
Hey!
what you doing?
Oh, that vlog that we talked about.
Vlog?
Yeah. Remember? The vlog that Sola said that I should do? You know, to talk about my gift.
Oh, yeah, right. Listen, B, I don't think you're psychic.
I am too psychic.
Getting random text messages from strangers does not make you psychic.
It is too psychic when my grandmother texts me and tells me exactly when to get on Craigslist to get that awesome Drexel Heritage couch we love napping on so much. That thing was way underpriced.
Grandmas love texting. My grandma texts me all the time. That's what they do.
My grandmother is dead. You were at the funeral.
Oh, yeah, right. Spooky.
Please welcome to the show actress Tara Jayn.
Hi.
Hi. Are you one of those people that don't really like watching yourself perform?
I mean, I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
Whenever you're, the producer on something, you now have to watch everything, so you can't. The luxury of is not there. So
Right.
get used to it.
Yeah, you seemed like you were kind of wincing a little bit during
Was
that
it?
clip.
Did you see me? Oh no.
Yeah, I could see you.
You are watching it. Oh no. I love that didn't even occur to me.
Right. I thought, well, maybe she's one of those people that doesn't really like to watch clips of herself, which I can totally relate to. So.
I mean, I think I know why Johnny Depp doesn't watch his movies after he's done them. It's because
Right.
it's just watching yourself. Sometimes you're like, what am I doing?
Right. Yeah, well, I do the same thing. I can't watch back interviews and stuff. It's like, I'm like, why did I look like that? Why was I making that face? I don't, you just start scrutinizing every little detail.
Yeah.
So.
Especially when you've seen it. Like, I've seen that episode so many times
Right.
in the editing process, so now I have nothing else to do to entertain myself but scrutinize my face or, like, the way I say things. So,
yeah.
It's a little harder to watch.
Well, you do a wonderful job, and I love the glasses that Beatrix wears. So for people who are not familiar with the show, which I'm sure there are quite a few people who are not yet familiar with it because, as I said earlier, it's new, it just started. Just tell us a little bit about what the show's about and the character you play.
The show focuses on a girl named Beatrix, who is a psychic, but she's a very different kind of psychic. All of the contact from the other side comes through social media. So it's her phone, it's her Facebook, it's Grubhub and Twitter, and somehow these demons and these forces get into the system and contact her that way. It actually started as kind of a joke, and then the idea just became so funny and sweet, and kind of the story we want to tell we liked so much that we couldn't help but do it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
The idea came about through Twitter, right?
Yes. Actually, Brian Newland, who's the creator for the show, he works at DreamWorks as an animator, and he's actually a fantastic writer. He's been writing these children's books that I've been following ferociously on the internet. One's called Werewolf and the Whale. It's my favorite. It's so adorable. It's about this werewolf and this whale, and they have this relationship despite the obvious water-land problems and the moon.
Right.
But so I've been following him, and I was actually on set for another project that was a paranormal film, and he just starts popping off these little tweets about this made-up show. because he was hoping to become a writer, and he's just struggling to get his writing career started because of the giant catch-22 that is any career out here. And so he just writes these tweets as a joke about Beatrix Beckett, who's a hipster, and her boyfriend Fallon, and her best friend Zola, and just he does the first 10 episodes or the first 12 episodes of one season as a series of 140 character tweets, and they were hilarious.
Yeah.
They were so I couldn't stop reading them and laughing and like showing everybody else on set like, you have to read this. It's so funny. And I immediately contacted him and asked him what his plan was for these tweets. I thought maybe this was actually an actual show, and I was desperate to pitch myself as Beatrix, and he said they were just a joke. And I begged him to let me do it. Like, can I please, 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 please make this work?
Right.
He and I have actually never met in person.
Really?
Yes, he actually lives in San Francisco, and we've never met before that. We actually only know each other through Twitter as like Twitter followers who make snarky comments to each other.
Right.
And we started messaging each other on Twitter, and then from there we emailed back and forth, threw ideas around about the show, about how to accomplish it, how to make it happen sooner rather than later. And we've talked on Skype, and that's it. I have never met this man in person. He actually thought that I was a joke. He thought that I was a prank that his friends were pulling on him for like a month. He refused to believe me.
That's so cool, though, that you've been able to do this via Twitter and Skype.
Yeah, and so appropriate.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the social media thing. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing what you can get accomplished that way.
I don't know if I ever want to actually meet the man at this point.
Right.
I'm thinking that we will always do things with one of us is being Skyped in, just to keep it going for as long as we can possibly swing it.
Right. Right. Well, so how many episodes are going to be, are you going to put out this season?
We have, what are we on now? Number 5, I think, went up this week. So we've got number 6 and 7 and some change. We have 2 more, really, for the rest of the first half of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we have to take a little bit of a hiatus because of me. But we will be back. Our plan is to come back, cultivate some audience, and come back and do more because we're having so much fun doing it.
Right. Well, it's a clever show. You know, I can't wait to watch more of it. The more episodes that you release, it's addictive. So.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yay. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
What is there a specific day that you release new episodes, or?
We do Tuesday mornings.
Tuesday mornings, okay.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking, but I can't remember. Yeah, basically you're on the same schedule as Classic Alice. So.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I just pulled it out of a hat, and probably because I saw somebody else doing it. I was like, yes, Tuesdays. Yeah. That's a great day.
I know that you announced recently that Kate Hackett from Classic Alice is going to be on the show. So can you tell us anything about who she'll be playing, or?
So excited about her. I actually contacted Alice. Well, Brent or James or Monkey Tiger, depending on how you know him. Monkey Tiger, James Brent Isaac, or Brent as I know him.
Right.
He's actually on Emma Approved and a number of other things. And he did an episode of Classic Alice, and he's been such an amazing guiding light on doing this show. He actually encouraged me to contact Kate just for advice, some girl power advice on web content, and so I did, and she was lovely and agreed to have lunch with a complete perfect stranger who, for all she knows, would kill her and wear her and she's a brave woman. We met for lunch, and we just, I mean, as far as I know, we hit it off. I loved her instantly.
Right.
I thought she was so smart and so clever, smart in a way that I'm not. Like, she's making book jokes, and I'm like, I don't know who that writer is, but
Right.
I know that joke was funny. I know it is. And we just sat, and the more we talked and talked, the more and more I liked her, and the more we enjoyed our lunch. And I was telling her about the show and some of the problems we were encountering, and we were really struggling figuring out Zola. Zola's been a part of the show from the very beginning, but I didn't have anybody already in mind for Zola, and in writing her, we had like 3 different versions of Zola, like varying degrees of hipster, and we just couldn't decide which one we liked the best, and we were going to do a series of auditions just to figure it out. And when I was talking to Kate about what we were kind of dealing with, and that I needed to find somebody who was different enough from Brent and I, because Brent and I kind of looked like we could be brother and sister. Maybe you had something different. And as we're talking, I'm like, gosh, I would love to work with this girl. She's so fun. I enjoy her company. She's so neat. And we're talking about Zola, and she's like, well, I have red hair. And it went off like a light bulb, like, oh my, how did I not see this?
Yeah.
She's perfect. She would be this great, like, Willow/Dana Scully version of Zola, like the smart, like, grounded person that we really need for the show. So I immediately went home and talked to Brian about it, and we went round and round about the different versions. And we wrote a version of Zola that was specifically for Kate. And we decided if we went this direction, the only person that we wanted to do it was Kate. And Brian watched all of her material. We figured out how to make it work best. And then we were going to do auditions, but because of my schedule and stuff I have going on in the works, I kind of I'm having to backburn things, so we had to speed it up and just make a choice and just skip the whole audition process. And we both were already so in love with Kate anyways that I kind of feel like even if we did auditions, dollars or donuts, we probably would have gone with Kate anyways. Right. So we just said, forget it, let's just hire her. And we filmed her first episode last weekend just to get her introduced into the series, and she was awesome. She was amazing. Yeah. So fun to work with. Such a nice person, and she nailed it. She was amazing, and I think it's going to be an amazing audition to the show. We're so lucky to have her. Right.
Yeah, I think that it will definitely be a good fit. Now, refresh my memory. Zola is Beatrix's friend. Best friend, and she's the one that encouraged her to start the vlog.
Yes, it is all Zola's fault. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that she'll be a good fit for that part. Well, you mentioned that you're very busy right now, and you've got a lot going on that you've had to speed things up with social media. Yeah. It looked like from what I read on your IMDb page that your most recent project was Critical Fumble. Is that right?
Yes. That is actually filming in next weekend. I should probably get enough book. Yes, Critical Fumble. It starts. I have no idea what I'm allowed to say about that show. Right. I haven't talked to the producers about it yet. About the social meme. All I'm going to say is that I think it's great, and let's say it's kind of like The Guild. But way more for guys. The guy jokes. I mean, we did a table read, and I was cringing at the joke. They're so awful and awesome, like just so lewd and funny at the same time. It's a total boys gamer show. It's gonna be really cute. I really like it.
Yeah. Well, make sure you keep me updated on that so that when you can talk about it more.
Yeah. I probably should talk to them.
Probably. Well, can you tell me about Room 313?
Yes. That's actually a short film. It's in post-production right now. Mm-hmm. It's about... Wow, I have no idea how much I can say about that either.
I can't really talk about that either.
I'm like, wait, I have to go through the catalog of what I can say. Because you sign NDAs about what you can say and what you can say. Okay, it's a short film. It's in post until the top of next year. It's mostly for short film festivals. And it's a thriller. It's kind of a paranormal thriller involving a hotel room. I think that that's what I can say.
Okay. Wow, it's fun learning about Tara Jayn.
I know. I can't talk about anything. Oh, it was written by David August. I can say that. That's
okay.
Directed by Trish Rigdon. and the DP is Kevin Rigdon. So for Trish and Kevin, this is going to be their first film debut. They're both theater folk. Kevin is Tony-nominated lighting and set designer. He's amazing, and this is his first film debut as a camera director. And then Trish is primarily a director and a producer for theater, and this will be her first. She's done a few things, but this will be her first real directorial film debut. And it was awesome. We did the whole thing in one weekend, and I really think it's going to be good. It also stars Jason Douglas, who I don't know how Jason Douglas is not famous. He's been in so many things, and now my mind escapes me. He was in Sin City. He was in No Country for Old Men. Just about everything that rolls through Texas. We filmed on location in Texas. He's been in. He is an amazing actor, really, really incredible. And this gargantuan of a man, such a physically intimidating person. How he's not, walking the red carpet.
Slipped under the radar, yeah.
How is such amazing talent not more known? It's baffling, but it will be really, I think, exciting because of it being a first-time project for two well-known theater people. It's pretty exciting.
I knew that I couldn't find a lot of information over it, so I really wasn't sure how much you were allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, right.
Yeah, thrillers, you have to be so tight-lipped with thrillers because you don't want to give away too much information.
Yeah.
It's a tricky tightrope.
So can you talk about, I'm starting to sense a little bit of a theme here. Can you talk about getting crafty with Maggie and Maud?
Oh yeah, I can talk about that.
Okay.
So one of my writing partners, his name is Natalie Lynch. I have 400 followers on YouTube from way back in the day, from 2008 when web content
you had
first.
long hair.
And I had long hair. Why did I ever cut it? We wrote a ton of sketches, a lot of funny stuff. We did. I just a bucket full of stuff. We did a one-man show, the two of us, and we did a ton of sketches. And within that was a sketch called Maggie and Maud, which is about these two women in Wisconsin who are very crafty, and they make sweaters, and they much like the vlog, they would love to be a Martha Stewart of the YouTube world, and so they make these vlogs where they drink too much, and the crafts don't always work out right. It's real so funny. Natalie is such a funny woman. I am infinitely funnier standing next to her.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be in her orbit so that I sound funny. That should come out, I hope, in the next few months. I don't actually know when we're gonna put that sucker out. We have meetings coming up about the future of Maggie and Maud, and if we want to make a series out of it or not. I hope so.
Go ahead.
Oh, I wear this ridiculous wig, and I'm obsessed with wearing it. So.
Well, it sounds like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of your videos on YouTube. Natalie and yes.
Boy.
And I noticed that you had at one time a website, natalieandtara.com, and it's no longer there. So what happened with that?
Yeah. So the honest truth about living in Los Angeles, and if anybody's watching this and wants to be an actor in LA, come on out here, it's fun. But the thing you should know about is that every so often you are going to have a panic attack, and you're not entirely held accountable for your actions at that point.
Right.
So Natalie and I were making a lot of content back in the day, and this was before anybody knew what to do with web content. No one knew how serious to take it. No one knew if it would be considered worthwhile. This was before the Guild even happened, and I got some advice about being a serious actor, and coming from theater, I fancy myself a serious actor. But I got some advice saying that I should stop doing web content, that it was actually detrimental to my career. This was, of course, before the amazing Pemberley Digital, before these Emmy-winning shows. Like, no one knew what to expect, and this was advice, well-intended advice, but I think kind of still in the old school idea that actors have to be this like enigma, whereas now we're much more in touch with our audience, which I personally love, talking to my audience directly. And I kind of freaked out a little bit about, and I think I was just at that right age where I didn't know what to do and what was the right choice, and paralysis by analysis. And we kind of stopped making stuff at that point. And in a weird like balance, I started getting more like legitimate acting work, whatever legitimate really means. And so I simultaneously got more busy with stuff, and Natalie got more busy with stuff. She started doing a lot of these amazing plays that she was knocking out of the park and winning awards at. So it just kind of stopped. We just kind of stopped making stuff. And in retrospect, we kind of miss it. We were talking about You Are the Resistance. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw a lot of them. Yeah, so
we literally would do those in one day. We would sit down at Denny's at like 7 a.m. and we would pick a topic, write a whole script, go costume shopping, go home, film it, edit it, put it up that day. It was like this challenge we kind of issued to ourselves. And we were recently talking about how much we miss doing that, and kind of, who cares? We're not serious. Who cares if we're not taken seriously by anybody?
Right.
So we're thinking about going back.
Yeah, well, and it's like you said, now, the internet and the web has exploded with all of these shows, and you have Netflix, and Amazon even has original programming, so the lines are definitely blurred now between what is considered legitimate acting jobs and not.
There's no one knows anymore. No one knows what's going to happen. HBO just announced their non-cable subscription, so now I don't have to have cable. I can quit stealing HBO. I'm not stealing, I swear. I'm just borrowing.
HBO is not watching this, I promise.
Okay. Don't ever show them. I'm so going to get fired. CBS just announced their first, no cable television. I'm sure that HBO is. I just watched pilots on Fox on my computer. I don't have cable. I just watched them on my Apple TV. Everything is changing at such a rapid pace, and I've noticed that there's a lot of like scramble to create content, but no one knows really what works yet, and such a tiny box. I think Pemberley has done such an amazing job figuring out how to take a classic and enduring story and make it work on a tiny little screen in a style that a lot of the viewers are accustomed to because they've been watching YouTube already, watching tutorials, and so it makes sense, and just no one knows what's going to happen. And our audience, the audience who are 14 and 15 and 13, those people, they're watching YouTube content. They're consuming it at a rapid pace. They go to, VidCon and District Lions event in Florida, and they're rabid fans. And those people are going to be the people going to movies, not that they don't now, but they're going to be the ones who are cultivating who they want to see. So they're, right now, picking out the Tom Cruise. Or like 10 years from now, they're watching the risky business of their generation, and whoever that person is, or show, or producers, those are the people that are going to go on to make the big work later on. So it's kind of, no one knows. Who knows what's going to happen? You might as well just do what makes you happy, and like what you believe in.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, there's not really a hard and fast rule to it anymore, so you may as well do what makes you happy and not worry about it, because everyone's just sort of making it up as they go along anyway. So.
And that's the truth about life.
Right, exactly.
Making it up. No one knows. No one knows. No one has the answer.
Right, exactly. So what are you and Natalie working on now, besides the getting crafty with Maggie and Maud?
We have a short film in the works called Imaginary Friends.
Mm-hmm.
We filmed our promo video a couple of months ago, and it was amazing. We're kind of pulling together to do a Kickstarter for that at the top of next year, probably. Imaginary Friends is a film about a world where imaginary friends are real, kind of in the same way that Drop Dead Fred works. I don't know if you've seen. I love the movie.
I grew up on Drop Dead Fred. For a while I had it memorized, so I know that movie very well.
What a classic.
Mm-hmm.
What a classic. I love that movie. And it's kind of, it started out as a really bad sketch, and we've been rewriting it for about 6 years at this point, and now it's become kind of a metaphor for life, like how we deal with what we struggle with every day, and what, if we lived in a world where imaginary friends were real, what would they be for? What would their function be for us? So I'm really excited about it. We're working with a really awesome director, and Natalie and I are taking our production level to a whole new level. We're just trying to like do bigger projects and meet more people and reach out and create better and better things instead of just a tiny little.
Well, that sounds interesting, especially if it's kind of on the same wavelength as the Drop Dead Fred. So.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Well, I noticed that you were currently filming something else, or you had just filmed something else called Worthy, starring Jason Ritter. I'm sure you're not allowed to tell me anything about that, but...
Gosh. I was such a small part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not sure how much I can say. I was such a small part of that. What I can say is that I think it's going to go to Sundance. I think it's going to do really, really well. The director was amazing, like the nicest person on the planet. All of the actors I actually got to meet were fantastic. I am speaking in like words that don't mean anything. How terrible.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. It's rough. I'm excited to see it. I really am. I think it's very much a project, a passion project for the creators, and the story they're telling is really coming from the heart, and the heart of like the Los Angeles experience, and kind of what we deal with, I guess. And I think in a bigger way, kind of about dreams. Mm-hmm. Is my general sense of it, and I love anything to do with dreams, because I think dreams are one of the most important things to just about everybody in this country. We just dream, and we want to just fulfill our dreams. Mm-hmm. So I think that's all I can say.
Okay. Well, that's actually more than I thought that you would probably be able to say about it, so I'm pleased with that, so that's good.
Theme of the night.
Right.
So busy, but we can't talk about it.
Right. It's okay. We'll just have to do another interview. So.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
So what's going on with your web series Head Case? I know it came out a while ago, and there were a lot of episodes released, but I haven't really heard.
Gosh.
Well, not Head Case, but yeah, there was one episode released. I was getting it confused with Beverly Wood, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, Head Case, I haven't heard a lot about it since the pilot was released. So
right, I don't know what they're doing with that. It was really good. It was a kind of Fight Club meets Girls web series. They submitted to a bunch of festivals. It did really well. The director, Mitch Yapko, is a dear friend of mine. And I love working with that man. And it had this nice moodiness to it. I just played a bank teller. I was just supposed to give an ID and take paperwork, and somehow he made it funny. I have no idea how he did that. Like, he made this little interaction hilarious. I had no idea. I just did it, and he made it funny. Amazingly, like, I watched it. I was like, how did you? I did not mean that. I was trying to be serious. Somehow you made it in the editing room. They made it hysterical. But it's a series about a writer who's trying to figure out her life and what to write about, and I get the sense that she's escaping some demons she's dealing with, and she comes in contact with her neighbor, it's this question: is the neighbor real, or is the neighbor a figment of her imagination? Mm-hmm. And the neighbor is this radical, more outspoken, living life to live life kind of a woman. And I get the sense, I mean, I haven't read beyond the first episode, but I get the sense that it was very much this relationship of, I would love to be you, and you are how I wish I could project myself. Mm-hmm. Kind of experience. If I could write myself, it would be like you. So it was really interesting. I have no idea what they're planning to do with it. I hope they continue, because it was really good.
Yeah, it just seemed to sort of stall after that first episode, so I wasn't sure if that was hard. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. You get your first baby made, and continuing on beyond the first episode or the first season, and corralling people and begging for favors and getting support, and hopefully you get a Kickstarter that works. It's really, really hard. Any web series that actually makes it to the internet, it's a feat. It's I mean, you commend them. I mean, even if it's terrible, they got it there, because so many web series you never even see, because they just don't get that far. It's incredibly challenging to create something.
Yeah, and it's still a fairly new medium, so it goes back to that. Everyone's just sort of still figuring out what works and how they still utilize the internet for shows and stuff. People. Yeah, exactly.
Web series. It's not porn. It's actually a web series.
Right. Well, since I brought it up, what's going on with Beverlywood? Are you done with that now?
That's done, as far as I know. That was a really long time ago. That was back in the day when web series first kind of started.
Yeah.
It was during the writer's strike out here, I want to say.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Ron Brosh, who is smarter than I am, figured out that web was going to be the next big thing. Genius. And he decided to create this show. And at the time, we were just a bunch of actors who would get together and fake audition in front of each other. We would get a camera and we'd pretend to audition. And we had this room of incredibly talented people, and all of us had contacts with people who could help us. And Ron rallied us all together, created this show, and really spearheaded it and got it as far as it did. And I think the only reason why it didn't go further is it was just such a new world that getting an audience was difficult. Like, They Need Girlfriends. I don't know if you ever watched that show. I loved that show, and that that show did well. But like, there were a couple of other shows out there that no one was really watching because no one knew to watch yet. So that's gone. Long gone.
I think there's still a misconception, and I've said it before about web series, that people think, well, it's already in its second or third season, or they've already had 6 or 7 episodes. I'm so far behind, I'll never catch up. And I don't think anyone really realizes how little time it takes to actually watch a web series from beginning to end.
Oh my gosh, one sitting.
Right, one sitting. It's not like, getting a DVD set of a season of, something on TV. It's not anything like that.
Yeah. So, you can literally watch it at the red lights instead of texting. Right. Don't text and drive, kids. Don't text and drive.
And preferably don't watch web series and driving.
Driving.
You want the viewers, but you want them to stay alive, so. So we've talked about, your web series work and that sort of thing, but you've also done some impressive stuff in primetime, Parks and Recreation, Grey's Anatomy. Greek. What did you learn from those experiences that you could sort of translate into your web work or vice versa?
Man, those were some of the most amazing experiences to date in their own way. I I got impossibly lucky. Impossibly lucky. I came out in 2006. I was doing background work in 2007, and I am not ashamed to admit that. A lot of people will not talk about how they did background work when they first got here. And this is not the story that you tell people to encourage them. This does not happen, but I'll tell you anyways. I was doing background work on Grey's Anatomy, and it was the best day of my life because they had Indian food. And I was a broke actor, and Indian food is my favorite kind of food, and it's expensive here, and to get it for free was amazing. And they had so few background actors that day that they mistakenly gave me a SAG voucher, which is a whole thing. You have to get a certain amount of SAG vouchers in order to join the union. And I was just having the most amazing day, and I was just in such a great mood. And they had us do these scenes, just, you know, doing activity in the back, like faking a conversation. And for one of my scenes, we're in this locker room, and if you go back and watch the episode, you'll actually see me do this. We're in the locker room, so I say, hey, I'm going to change my shirt. That'll look interesting. And then I'm going to actually tell this girl this story. I had this great dating story about this guy I was seeing, this horrible dating story. So every take, I would tell her a little and little more of the story. So we're in this super engrossed, real conversation together. And somehow, amidst all that's going on, the director kind of noticed it and then decides to put me in the next scene. So the next scene, we're watching one of the leads. He comes in and tells this story. Okay, I've never seen the script, so this was the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. This story was so good, and I was so emotionally invested in everything he had to say. I have no idea what was going on. I'm just like, and then what? Yeah. Oh my gosh! I'm like acting my heart out, and I had no idea because I was just in this place where I was so involved, and then they cut us for the day, and I'm like, well, that was awesome. What a great day of background. And on my way out the door, I'm packing up all my things because as a background person, you take a lot of stuff with you on set. And I'm running out the door, and the first AD comes running after me and goes, Tara, 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 come back, come back, come back. And I'm like, oh no, we've been here for 14 hours. They have more shots. Okay, I can do this. So he takes me back, takes me to Video Village, and I talk to the director, and he proceeds to tell me that he loved what I was doing in the scenes, and he thought I did a really good job, and he wanted my headshot and resume, and he wanted to take it to casting and just see, you know, if I could actually act. And until they figured that out, they were going to keep bringing me back on the show as background, but as an intern, and to just expect a phone call to when to come to set. So for like the next month or so, I got to come on Grey's Anatomy and learn, and it was the most amazing experience. It was the best film school I'd ever gone to. The crew were amazing. They, I think, somehow figured out that there was some kind of like thing going on with me. No one really knew what was going on, but they knew that I was there all the time, and that the director, who was also a producer for the show, really liked me. So they would tell me where to stand so that I was out of the way, but that I could learn things. And the sound guy was amazing. I would come and sit with him every day, and he would let me watch all the takes, and he would talk to me about what was happening and really explain to me about what everybody was doing. So I learned so much about what everyone's jobs were, how a real set works. I can never stop being thankful for that experience. And I got so lucky in that it happened again on Greek. the exact same kind of story. Same thing. I have no idea how I got so lucky, but I
came in contact with the right people at the right time.
Yeah, impossibly lucky, and I got to I basically, like, for months, just went to set as a background person, sometimes did some things, but mostly I just paid attention and I learned stuff. And it completely shaped not only the way that I work, but also the kindness level, because these people did not have to be kind to me, and they were so impossibly kind to me, and I will never forget it. And I plan to thank them in my Oscar speech.
Yeah.
But I can never get over that, and it has shaped every choice I make from here about always being good to the people who work for you, especially my God, they work so hard. Unfortunately, like in the web series where we just don't have a lot of money to give, I would love to pay them what they're worth, so I just try to be incredibly kind and respectful of their time. And that's I think the biggest thing I've learned is just kindness is hugely important.
And you never know how you're going to affect someone's life and how you're going to shape it, and so the fact that they took the time to do that with you it says a lot about them. So
truly, I'm still in contact with quite a few of them to this day, and they have no reason to still talk to me, none whatsoever. I mean, I'm a nobody out in LA. I'm just one of a million actors out here, and they're still in contact, and they're still supportive, and they're still wonderful, and I cannot thank them enough for that.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That is very rare. I mean, you never hear stories like that, so.
I just don't tell your kids it.
Right.
It's not the way. It doesn't work like that. It's a lot of work. It doesn't go that way.
Yeah. So, like, in addition to your acting and everything, we talked about this a little bit on Twitter. You are very crafty, and you actually have a DIY Etsy shop. Yeah.
I do. I'm constantly making stuff, and in order to make stuff and not have to keep it, I have to sell it.
Right.
I'm really good at parties. I throw awesome parties, so I started making party supplies, like very specific, unique party supplies. For example, not every, but at Christmas time, I throw a Game of Thrones Christmas party, and it's decked out to the gills in Game of Thrones stuff. I have a house sigil. That's my house sigil. It's a cat on a banner with colors, and then we deck the house out in all of the house colors. And
wow. So you throw like really elaborate parties.
I love parties. I love them, and I figured out how to do them, how to get a maximum impact with a minimum amount of money spent, and a lot of it's made of paper and crepe paper, and it's so much fun because I need to do things with my hands. I need to make things. Everyone in my family is artistic, and we have to make things. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you need to start your own like a YouTube series on just like crafting on a budget, party planning on a budget, something like that.
I've thought about it.
Yeah, so you've got this Etsy shop. Are you still doing that, or?
I had to put it on hold. I've gotten too busy with everything else, with acting and all the rest of my career, that I've had to, in order to not fall behind in orders and ruin people's parties and weddings, I've put it on hold for a bit. So whenever it gets quiet again, I'll start back up, hopefully. So I mean, my office is a disaster because I've kind of gutted it because I knew I was taking like a 3-month vacation, so like destroyed. Do
you have any pieces? Did you find anything to show us, or?
I mean, the only thing I have on hand is a scarf I'm making for my cat. Sounds so bad.
Does your cat like scarves?
No, she's gonna hate me. A little tiny scarf.
I think pretty.
So cute. She's gonna hate me. No, she will not appreciate it for 1 second. I made her a dragon costume last Halloween, and she hated me for it.
Yeah. So,
poor cat.
How did you come up with the name for your shop? What is it? Bad Kitten Sweatshop? Yeah, Bad Kitty Sweatshop.
My cat.
Your cat.
Because every time I try to make something, she has to get right in the middle of it and like look at what I'm doing. Especially since it's all paper and thread, she's fascinated by it, and I'm constantly having to shoo her away.
Yeah.
So it's constant, bad kitty, go away.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a great name, and you know, now that you've made her a scarf, now she knows what you've been up to. So
she's the worst. Worst.
That's so funny. Well, I think that does it for my questions. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I don't think so. Watch the show.
Watch the show, yeah.
Oh
well, you know what? You'll have to come back when you can talk more about some of your other projects.
I'm so sorry about that. I swear.
That's fine. I know that there was, since I couldn't find anything about it online, I figured that, you know, you were probably going to talk about a lot of them. So
once the poster goes up, that's usually when you can start talking more.
Right.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's a tricky world.
Well, the show is called Social Medium. New episodes released every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday for the next 2 days.
Okay. Tara Jayn, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot more about you in the coming years. So
thanks, Paula.
Everyone remember that name. So all right. Well, I'll see you later. You have a good night.
Bye. You too. Thank you.
Thank you.